Look at the size of that tangle of roots. The land here is rocky, and the plants need to be hardy to hold on. It's a little sad to see the underbrush go, but we have to remove it in order to build. I learned the hard way that not every plant in the forest is friendly. After clearing out the tree stumps, I noticed my shins and ankles were a little itchy. That was the beginning of urushi poisoning. Urushi is related to poison oak and just as uncomfortable. It's also the plant substance that gets made into lacquer for that famous Japanese lacquerware. It must be tough to work with every day. In my case, I was wearing long pants and socks, but somehow that urushi still got onto my skin. It was a rough couple of days, but I read somewhere that poison oak is actually an allergic reaction, so I tried some antihistamines and it fixed me right up in a couple of days. Just in time to take on the real land clearing. Not that I really had much to do here. As you can see, this job is best left to professionals. Our land is anything but flat, and as I mentioned, there isn't much besides rock underneath the surface. Big, heavy rock. So this was a job for the Sumitomo SH-75, whatever that means. There are a few steps to get land ready for a build in Hakuba. The first step is getting rid of the brambles and roots. We loaded up a couple of truckloads of green waste before being able to really see how uneven and rocky the land really was. The rocks are not a problem as long as they're small enough to move around with an excavator. But you never know in Hakuba. Mostly the rocks are manageable. But sometimes when digging the foundation, you might discover there's a giant, immovable boulder buried for all eternity right under your basement. So far, we haven't found any indication that we will suffer that fate, but we haven't actually started digging yet. So I'll have my fingers crossed for the next couple weeks. There's a more or less amateur-looking rock wall that fronts our land and then turns around and separates our land from the neighbors. We were surprised, actually, that the neighbor pulled the wall down themselves so as not to cause the workers any trouble. That's the kind of neighborly thinking that really marks rural Japan, or rural anywhere for that matter. The neighbors also invited us to use the edge of their land to access our land, but we're trying not to take advantage of their kindness too much. That front rock wall was pretty much a goner from the start. It was really hard to save. So I asked the builder to keep the rocks, thinking I might try to build a rock wall myself later. That was before I knew how many rocks are actually on the land. In fact, finding rocks isn't going to be a problem at all. It looks like if I had ever dreamed of having a Zen rock garden, I could finally have one now. I hadn't actually had that dream, but looking at our landscaping options, that may be the direction we have to go. Anyway, after getting everything green cleared out, we noticed that the land had a really nice wave to it. Well, that's not exactly what we were hoping to find, but no worries. Take a few rocks from here, pack them up over there, and voila, the land is flat. Well, at least the part that will have the house, and the rest we'll have to think about later. The fact is, we've still got a lot of trees and brush, and we can't really do much to change the level of that land yet. So for now, it looks like we're in good shape for the area around the house, and since we're in Japan, the next step is to seek approval from the spirits and gods that live here in the trees and rocks. We'll need their blessing for a successful build, and in the next episode, with the help of a Shinto priest, we'll ask for that blessing.